welcome to Harrison Hacks.
Hey guys, welcome back to Harrison Hacks. Today Sony has released the other 15 games for the PlayStation Classic. I'm going to go through the ROM list and just kind of give my thoughts on what I think of this list. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's great. Am I going to cancel my pre-order? I don't know. So let's get right into this. Battle Arena Toshinden. It's a decent game. It doesn't make me nostalgic. Like, I don't get that nostalgic feeling for the PlayStation Classic. It's an okay game, but it doesn't sell it for me. Cool Borders 2, it's actually a cool game, and if you're gonna put any kind of sports title on here, I guess Cool Borders 2 would have been great. Um, just there's other games that could have been on here, sports related, but Cool Borders 2, it's decent, it's passable. Destruction Derby, it's okay. Again, not something that's going to sell the console for me, and it just feels like filler. Final Fantasy VII, of course. Final Fantasy VII should be on the PlayStation Classic Edition, no question. The original Grand Theft Auto, you can go ahead and switch to the... So, basically, with Grand Theft Auto, decent game. A little different than the ones nowadays, but still, it kind of holds up. It's alright. Intelligent Cube. This game here is actually like a hidden gem. A lot of other people have said that, and I feel the same way. It's a pretty cool puzzle game, and if you've never played it, I would recommend checking it out. I'm actually glad that that one's on there. Jumping Flash, not familiar with, so I've never played it. Don't know if I'm a fan. By watching what I'm seeing right now, I don't know if I would be a fan, but maybe. I'll have to give it a go. But that was initially in the launch preview that game was going to be on here. Metal Gear Solid, absolutely. Metal Gear Solid should be on here. Metal Gear Solid is just one of those games that I could play over and over and over again, and it does hold up. It holds up for me. I think this is an amazing game to this day. Mr. Driller. So, Mr. Driller, another puzzle game. Intelligent Cube, sure. Mr. Driller, no, this one feels like filler, feels like shovelware. Maybe other people have a difference of opinion, but for me, Mr. Driller just doesn't cut it, and it should not have made the list. Oddworld, Abe's Oddysee. So this game I do like. I like the visuals, I like the play style. I just, it's a platforming game. It's a good platformer for anyone who just wants to dive into a game and start playing. Even if you've never experienced before, it's pretty easy to get up and running. Persona. So Persona is a pretty good game. Actually, it's one of the better games on the PlayStation, in my opinion. And I think that this was a good choice for the list. Definitely unexpected. R4, so Ridge Racer Type 4. This is a good game. I think I would have preferred a Gran Turismo and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to get into a little bit later on in the video of kind of my alternatives and what I would have put on here in place of some of these games. Rayman. Rayman's okay, but it doesn't make me think of PlayStation. It's a decent looking game, as you can see. The art style's pretty cool, and it's an okay game. But I mean, there's just so much better. So yeah, my box art says DualShock. Well, it says now supports, but this is Resident Evil Director's Cut. So Resident Evil Director's Cut surprisingly made it. It's an M rating, and so is Metal Gear Solid as well. But definitely a really good game, and I'm glad this made the list. This is something that I will pick up and play if I decide to keep my PlayStation Classic Edition pre-order. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. So again, another puzzle game, and this one's a little bit different, but still another puzzle game. If you're going to put a puzzle game on here, Intelligent Cube is the one that I would have gone with, stuck with, and not had Mr. Driller or this Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. Syphon Filter. Syphon Filter I could see being on this list. It was a really good game for PlayStation. I really enjoyed it. It's just something that I think should have made the list, and it did, and I'm really glad that it did. So definitely glad to see Syphon Filter on there. Tekken 3 is another good game. Now this was announced with the when they launched the the whole preview of, hey, this is coming out. And Tekken 3, sure. I mean, keep it on there. It's a good game. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, it's okay. Doesn't give me that nostalgic feeling. Doesn't make me think of PlayStation or anything. It's okay. It's a decent game, but not anywhere near fantastic. Twisted Metal, absolutely. Any of the Twisted Metals. Now, for me, I'm really into Small Brawl these days because I experienced it later on in life, but I have played a little bit of the initial Twisted Metal, and I can definitely say that it holds up for me. It's a lot of fun, and I'm glad that they included it on this list. Last but not least, Wild Arms. Wild Arms, definitely. Wild Arms is a game I remember playing with friends all the time, and it's just an amazing game, and it was really well made, really well done, and it's a lot of fun to play. So, based on this list, give me your thoughts and opinions. Now, I am going to come right back and discuss what games I would swap out for what games. So, I'll be right back. Okay, so here is a list of games that I would want to have if I were making the PlayStation Classic myself, and the games list that I would have. I understand that Sony has a lot of remakes on multiple console. Well, it's not Sony's remakes, but some games have been remade, in HD and all that. But Castlevania Symphony of the Night, I mean, if one of the best, if not the best game for the PlayStation, and definitely brings back that nostalgic feeling. It's an amazing game. Crash Bandicoot, I mean, remember Crash, calling out Mario with the megaphone? Remember all that good stuff? I remember playing this for hours and hours. When I first got my PlayStation, it came bundled with 2 DualShocks and Crash Bandicoot and a T-shirt, I think, a Sony PlayStation T-shirt. It was a Costco bundle. But I remember playing this forever, and I feel like Crash still holds up. I know it's been remade and all that good stuff, but if you want to sell the system on nostalgia, I mean that's Crash Bandicoot's a huge part of the PlayStation. Dino Crisis. I mean, how does Dino Crisis not make the list? And I'm sure for many reasons, games don't make the list for licensing deals and things like that, but I think Dino Crisis should have been on here. Final Fantasy VII is already on here, and I would definitely keep it there. But could we not get 8 and 9? They're both great games. 8 is different in so many ways, and it took me a while to enjoy it. After playing 7 for so often, when I got to 8, I was like, oh man, this is so different. But once I got into the game, I really, really enjoyed it. Final Fantasy 9, again, it's just an amazing game. I played this so much. I mean, so much. I can't tell you how many hours I put in. Not as many as Final Fantasy VII, but pretty close. They're giving us Destruction Derby or Ridge Racer Type 4. Give me a Gran Turismo 2. Even a Gran Turismo 1. But Gran Turismo 2, it's just an excellent game. And this is what I would have put on there. Intelligent Cube, as I mentioned, you're going to do a puzzle game? Absolutely. Intelligent Cube should be on there. It's a great game. I wouldn't take it off the list. A big one missing on a lot of people's lists, and that's Legend of Dragoon. Just, you look at the visuals, and this is back in 2000, man. This is on the Sony PlayStation. This looks amazing. It's a great game. I understand I put a lot of RPGs on here, but the PlayStation just had so many great ones. I had to leave some out because it's only a 20-game roster, but, Metal Gear Solid, of course. Got to leave that on there. Parappa the Rapper. Now, I just want to mention these 20 games that I'm choosing right now. This is what I think would appeal to the most amount of people out there. And the people that remember the PlayStation, that aren't hardcore gamers, but they want to relive their childhood. Parappa the Rapper was huge on the PlayStation. Maybe not a game for me per se, but this list is more based upon like how can you reach the widest audience possible? And I feel like this list could do just that. Persona. So Persona is on the PlayStation Classic, and I'm glad they put it on there. Resident Evil Director's Cut, I would leave that on there as well. I can't see why they would take that off. Here's an obvious omission, and that's Spyro the Dragon. Why are we missing Spyro? Okay, they're remaking them. I understand that, but we want to play it on a PlayStation Classic because it is a PlayStation Classic. I mean, it really, really is. So the fact that Spyro's missing is, you know, it's a little hard to swallow. Syphon Filter is on there, so that's really awesome that we're getting Syphon Filter. I really do enjoy that game. Tekken 3, you know, Tekken 3 is a pretty good game as well, so, and that's going to be included, so excellent to see that on there. Um, Tomb Raider, I mean, yeah, it's a little, you know, different from the Tomb Raiders and things like that you used to now, but this, again, this is a PlayStation classic, and when I think of classic, I think of Tomb Raider. These are the types of games that I think of. And when I look at that box and see the games list, and maybe I'm not an avid gamer, but I'm like, oh, I remember this game, or I remember Crash, or I remember Spyro. Again, we got Cool Borders 2. How about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2? I mean, this is one of my favorite PlayStation games. I played the heck out of this. I had the demo disc for the longest time and just couldn't get enough of it. I think Tony Hawk's 2 is on the PlayStation is just an absolutely amazing game, and I think Cool Borders 2 is all right, but this definitely would have made my list long beforehand. And then we get Twisted Metal, which we are getting, which is really great. I think Twisted Metal was a big part of the PlayStation brand, and I'm glad to see that that's on there, as well as Wild Arms. So Wild Arms is also coming on the PlayStation Classic. I'm really excited about that because I can't wait to put some more hours into it. It's going to be, you know, I don't get a lot of free time, but it's between this and Final Fantasy VII for their actual game list. And then back to Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So basically, this this is the list that I would have gotten if I were Sony, to try to appeal to the widest audience possible. You know, two things kind of made me not want to buy this system when it was first announced. One, why are you only telling us 5 games? Well, actually, there's more than 2 things. Another thing would be we're getting a USB cable, but we're not getting the USB adapter for the wall. Well, that seems kind of cheesy since Nintendo includes it. Now, in North America, they do. I understand that in Europe and Japan, they do not include that. But they do over in North America. And, you know, Sony really should have went that route. Another thing is the lack of DualShock. But I understand. I mean, you know, you got to keep costs down. Now, this is $100 US. It's not cheap. It's $129.99 in Canada. Um, it's not cheap, and especially because now I've got to get a USB adapter, which I've got some laying around, but I want to make sure I have a good one. I don't want anything to happen to my PlayStation Classic because I used one that was too weak or too powerful, or so on. I think the missed opportunity that Sony could have done different than Nintendo is add at least Wi-Fi support. You know, just a small little PSN style thing where you can buy each game for a couple of bucks, and games that they didn't put on the system, they can still make money on, and you know, you can go ahead and download them to your system after paying, and there you go. But that's a bit of a stretch. So, am I going to cancel my pre-order? I really have to think about it. I mean, I really am on the fence right now. It's not a horrible games list they're giving us. It's definitely not the greatest games list they could have given us. And the games list just feels like they went out and got random titles. And some of them do feel like filler. And they didn't put a lot of that classic feeling into the game selection. So I feel like they're like, ah, Final Fantasy VII will sell it, you know, and maybe, but not as much as, you know, the potential of Crash Bandicoot, Parappa the Rapper, Spyro the Dragon, Tomb Raider, you know, and the list goes on. So I'm not 100% sure that Sony made the right decision with this list. And personally, for me, I think that it's time to really weigh my options. Do I want to spend the $130 plus tax for this system? I don't know, and I guess I've got a little over a month to cancel my pre-order. So I would love to hear what your guys' opinions are on the Sony playlist and the games list, sorry, and what you know, what do you think about it? Do you have a pre-order? Do you plan to pre-order? I know they're widely available, at least in Canada they are. I mean, do you plan on going to the store and pick one of these up? Do you think it's worth the money or not? But that's pretty it for this video. That's pretty much it for this video, guys. I really appreciate y'all guys watching. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, have a good day.